She ran from an arranged marriage and found refuge with a broke carpenter who had no idea she was a billionaire. Isabella Chen stood silently in the hallway outside Marcus Sterling's study. She had been looking for her missing earring, but the open laptop on his desk caught her attention. She hesitated, then stepped inside. The screen showed a string of emails, some encrypted, some with subject lines vague but alarming. One message stopped her cold. Phase 3. Finalize removal of James Chen. Fund transfer upon confirmation. Her father's name. Removal. She clicked to read more. The emails were between Marcus and a foreign investment consortium discussing a hostile takeover of Chen Industries. But the plan wasn't just business. It included eliminating her father. Isabella pulled back from the screen, her stomach turning. Her fiancé, the man her father trusted, the man she was supposed to marry in 5 days, was planning to kill James Chen. Not just betray him, remove him. That night, Isabella told her father everything. James Chen listened, his face carved from stone. But instead of gratitude, she received skepticism. "You've always been dramatic, Isabella. You're looking for excuses to avoid commitment." When she insisted she had proof, he waved her away. "Marcus is my most trusted partner. You're being hysterical." The next morning, everything changed. Security guards appeared at her bedroom door, not to protect her, she realized with growing horror, but to ensure she didn't run. The engagement would proceed. The merger would happen. Her voice didn't matter. By that afternoon, Isabella understood a terrifying truth. She was a prisoner in her own home, and her wedding day would seal not just a marriage, but possibly her father's death warrant. The engagement collar was scheduled for the following week. 500 guests, 100 photographers. The business world called it the wedding of the decade. But Isabella had other plans. During the cocktail hour, while Marcus gave his charming speech about their future together, Isabella slipped away through the kitchen. In a storage closet, she shed her $1,000 gown for a maintenance worker's uniform she'd hidden days earlier. She tucked her signature raven black hair under a baseball cap, smudged dirt across her high cheekbones, and walked out the service entrance with a cleaning crew. No one looked twice at the cleaning lady carrying supplies to the laundry truck. Isabella Chen, heiress to a textile empire worth $3 billion, climbed into the back of that truck and disappeared into the night. The drive seemed endless. Somewhere around 3 in the morning, somewhere deep in the New Mexico desert, exhaustion caught up with the driver. The truck swerved violently. Brakes screamed. Isabella felt herself thrown sideways as the vehicle rolled into a shallow ravine. When the world stopped spinning, she found herself on the hard ground, pain shooting through her ribs, her vision blurred. She tried to stand but couldn't. The driver had fled, perhaps thinking the truck was empty. As the desert sun began to rise, Isabella's consciousness faded. Her last thought was simple and terrifying. I escaped, but will I survive? Daniel Hayes was fixing a fence post when he saw something that didn't belong in the desert landscape. At first he thought it was abandoned cargo, but as he approached, his heart stopped. A woman lay crumpled in the sand, barely breathing, her lips cracked from dehydration. Daniel didn't hesitate. He scooped her into his arms and carried her to his workshop, Hayes Woodworks, a small carpentry business he'd built with his own hands after leaving his former life behind. He cleaned her wounds, gave her water, and waited. When she finally opened her eyes hours later, confusion and fear flickered across her face. "You're safe," Daniel said gently. "You were on the highway. Looked like you'd been in an accident." She studied him warily, this stranger with sawdust in his hair and kindness in his eyes. "Where am I?" "My workshop, about 30 miles from Santa Rosa." "I'm Daniel Hayes." She hesitated, then lied smoothly. Maya Rodriguez." Over the next few days, Isabella, now calling herself Maya, slowly recovered. Daniel asked no questions. He offered her the spare room above his workshop, simple meals, and respect for her privacy. It was exactly what she needed. By the end of the first week, she insisted on helping. "I can't just take charity. Let me work." Daniel handed her a broom with a slight smile. "All right, but don't touch the power tools unless you know what you're doing." "I'm not completely helpless," she replied, a hint of her old confidence returning. What Daniel didn't know was that Isabella had grown up surrounded by textiles and design. Her eye for detail, her understanding of patterns and measurements began to show. When she reorganized his entire supply room by wood type, grain, and dimension, he stood in the doorway, genuinely impressed. "You've done this before." She shrugged. "My mother taught me organization matters." One evening, Isabella discovered Daniel's secret project hidden beneath a canvas tarp. A beautifully crafted tiny house, barely half finished. The joinery was exquisite, each piece fitting together like a puzzle. Beside it were hand-drawn plans, detailed and precise. "You found her," Daniel's voice came from behind. Isabella turned. "It's incredible. Why did you stop?" His jaw tightened. "I was building it for someone. That didn't work out." There was pain in his voice, carefully controlled. "You should finish it," she said softly. "Something this beautiful deserves completion." Daniel looked at her for a long moment. "Maybe, when the right reason comes along." Neither of them realized it yet, but they were both refugees from lives that had betrayed them, both hiding, both healing, and slowly, both beginning to trust again. Isabella noticed everything. The way Daniel's work jackets were worn through at the elbows, how his boots had holes he'd tried to patch with duct tape, how he'd skip lunch to make sure there was enough food for both of them. One night, after he'd gone to bed, she found his sewing kit and an old jacket. Her hands moved with muscle memory, creating professional-grade repairs with reinforced stitching. By dawn, she'd reconstructed 3 of his worn garments. When Daniel found them the next morning, he held up a jacket in amazement. "This isn't just mending. This is professional work. Where did you learn this?" Isabella's heart raced. She had almost revealed too much. "My mother was a seamstress. I picked things up." It was a half-truth. Her mother had run a textile empire, and Isabella had learned from the very best. Daniel nodded slowly, but something in his eyes suggested he knew there was more to her story. Still, he didn't press. That was his way. Give people space to be who they needed to be. The following week, Isabella met Sarah Hayes. Daniel's mother was frail, her movements careful, each breath measured, but her eyes were sharp and knowing. When Isabella brought her tea and a blanket, Sarah studied her carefully. "You have gentle hands but worried eyes. Someone running from something or running to something?" Isabella smiled despite herself. "Maybe both?" Over the next few days, Isabella found herself drawn to Sarah. When the older woman struggled with breathing, Isabella made the same ginger soup that her family's housekeeper had once made for her. Daniel found her in the kitchen that evening, stirring the pot. He watched for a moment, then simply said, "Thank you for taking care of her." There was emotion in his voice he couldn't quite hide. That night, they sat together on the workshop's porch, watching the sunset paint the desert in shades of amber and crimson. For the first time in weeks, Isabella felt something she had almost forgotten: peace. One evening, while they worked side by side sanding wood for a commission, Daniel spoke without looking at her. 2 years ago, I got offered a position in Seattle, big architectural firm, 6-figure salary, lead designer for sustainable housing projects." Isabella looked up surprised. "You turned it down?" He nodded. "Mom had just been diagnosed with congestive heart failure. No one else to look after her. I couldn't leave." There was no regret in his voice, just simple acceptance. Isabella felt her throat tighten. "The world needs talented people like you, Daniel. But sometimes, a parent needs their child more than the world."
The next morning, she found her worn sneakers by the door, completely restored. The soles had been re-glued, the canvas stitched, even a soft insole added for comfort. A note beside them read, "Not much, but you shouldn't have to walk in pain." Isabella held those shoes for a long time, tears streaming down her face. It wasn't jewelry or luxury. It was pure, deliberate kindness. and it meant everything. Isabella knew she couldn't hide forever. The files she'd stolen from Marcus's computer before disappearing were her insurance policy, evidence of fraud, conspiracy, and planned murder. They needed to reach the authorities. At the tiny library in Santa Rosa, her hand shook as she attached the documents to an email addressed to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Bank transfers, encrypted conversations, contracts with mercenaries, all of it meticulously documented. She clicked send. What Isabella didn't know was that the library's IP address had just lit up like a beacon on Marcus Sterling's monitoring systems. Within hours, her location was compromised. The hunting party was mobilized. Daniel noticed the SUV first. It sat too long across from the workshop, engine running, windows dark. When he approached, it sped away. Then came the stranger asking questions, claiming to need directions, but his eyes searching too carefully. "You seen anyone new around here? A woman traveling alone?" Daniel shut the conversation down immediately. That night, over a quiet dinner, he set down his fork and looked at her directly. "Maya, if you were in real trouble, would you trust me to help?" Isabella's breath caught. "I do trust you, but I won't let you get hurt because of me." His expression remained steady. "That's not your decision to make." Before dawn, Isabella packed her bag and left a note on the workbench. "You saved me without knowing who I was. That means more than I can say. But I won't let you become a target. Please forgive me." She stepped outside, ready to run again. But Daniel was already there, leaning against his truck, arms crossed. "I figured you'd try this," he said quietly. "I'm not asking for all your secrets," Daniel said, his voice firm but gentle. "But I've spent years keeping everyone at arm's length. Then you showed up, and everything changed. So no, I'm not letting you face this alone." Isabella opened her mouth to protest, but no words came. They went back inside together, uneasy but united. Just after midnight, the smell of smoke woke Daniel. He jolted upright, coughing. The workshop was burning. Someone had thrown an incendiary device through the window. Daniel grabbed a fire extinguisher and ran to the room where Isabella slept. He kicked the door open, smoke pouring around him. "Isabella!" He dragged her out, but the flames were spreading toward his life's work, the tiny house he'd been building. Isabella saw him turn back. "Daniel, no!" But he charged in, desperately trying to save what he could. When he staggered out, his arm burned. She grabbed him, frantic. "You could have died!" His voice was rough. "So could you." She held him as the workshop burned, whispering through tears, "I can't let you die because of me." Daniel leaned his forehead against hers. "I wouldn't know how to live if you were gone." The fire brought authorities. A local deputy noticed the damage and stopped to investigate. Then he saw a photograph on the scorched wall. Isabella, her distinctive features unmistakable. "That girl's all over the news," the deputy said. "Isabella Chen, missing for 3 weeks. National alert." Within minutes, Daniel was in handcuffs. At the police station, the questions came rapid fire. Did he know who she really was? Was he holding her captive? Daniel said nothing, protecting her even now. Meanwhile, Isabella stood in a parking lot when her attorney called. "They've detained someone. Are you safe?" Her world tilted. An hour later, she walked into that police station, no longer as Maya Rodriguez, but as Isabella Chen. Her hair was down, her bearing changed. She wore confidence like armor. "I need to speak to whoever's in charge," she announced. Inside the interrogation room, Daniel looked up when the door opened. When he saw her, truly saw her for the first time, understanding and hurt flickered across his face. "My name is Isabella Chen," she told the officers, her voice unwavering. "I am the person you're looking for. Daniel Hayes is innocent of any wrongdoing. He didn't kidnap me, he saved my life. I chose not to reveal my identity for my own protection. He should not be here." Daniel was released, but something had broken. They drove back to the destroyed workshop in silence. When they arrived, He walked to the blackened remains of his tiny house and sat against the wall. Isabella approached slowly, her heart breaking. "I was going to tell you." Daniel's voice was quiet, almost hollow. "I thought you were someone like me, someone just trying to find their place in the world." "I am," she insisted. "No," he said, finally looking at her. "You're someone from a world I'll never belong to. You weren't honest with me, and now I don't know what was real." "Everything was real," Isabella said, kneeling beside him. "What I felt, what I said, everything I did here, it was all real." He shook his head slowly. "You shouldn't have come into my life if you were planning to leave it." She had no answer to that. That night, she packed her things. She didn't leave an apology note this time. Instead, she left something more valuable. A notebook filled with her designs, sketches for improving his tiny house project, architectural modifications, sustainable building techniques. On the last page, one sentence stood alone. "We don't choose where we start, but we can choose where we belong. I chose you, just not yet." New York felt like a foreign country, but Isabella Chen walked into the FBI field office with the steadiness of someone who had already lost everything that mattered. She handed over the flash drive containing months of evidence, fraudulent transfers, conspiracy communications, proof of planned murder. "Are you ready to testify?" the agent asked. "Yes," Isabella answered without hesitation. "I'm done running." The operation moved swiftly. With Isabella's cooperation, the FBI arranged a meeting Marcus believed was a final business deal. He walked in confident, walked out in handcuffs. The footage was on every news channel by morning. Later that day, Chen Industries called an emergency press conference. Isabella stood before the cameras in a black suit, her hair pulled back, her face composed. "I am ending my engagement to Marcus Sterling. I do so with full awareness of the fraud and conspiracy he committed. No one, regardless of their power, has the right to manipulate a legacy or a life for personal gain." The narrative shifted in that moment. She was no longer the missing heiress. She was the woman who brought down an empire of lies. Behind the stage, her father waited. James Chen looked smaller than she remembered, humbled not by scandal, but by his own mistakes. When Isabella stepped off the platform, he met her with tears streaming down his face. "I was wrong," he said, his voice breaking. "I didn't see you for who you really are. Not a child, but a woman with more courage than I ever had." Isabella nodded slowly. "You don't have to say more, Dad." But he did. "I'm proud of you, Isabella, truly proud." She gave him a small smile, then turned away. There were 100 things waiting for her attention: lawyers, publicists, board meetings, media interviews. But Isabella didn't stay for any of it. That chapter of her life was closed. Instead, in the quiet of her hotel room, she opened her laptop and navigated to a website, the National Sustainable Building Competition. She filled out the application carefully. Applicant name, Daniel Hayes. Project title, Solar Integrated Tiny Home Prototype. She uploaded photos, specifications, and her own engineering notes, leaving them unsigned. When asked if she wanted contact information included, she clicked no. Then she closed her laptop and exhaled. Daniel had saved her life. Now, quietly, she would return the favor. The letter arrived in a plain white envelope. Daniel almost threw it away until he saw the header, National Sustainable Building Awards Finalist Notification. He read it 3 times, certain there was a mistake. Daniel Hayes, Hayes Woodworks, had been selected as one of the 3 finalists in Sustainable Residential Design. When he called the number listed, a cheerful coordinator confirmed it. "Someone submitted your work on your behalf." She didn't leave her name, just a message. Daniel's heart stopped. What message? "If he wins, tell him it wasn't just for the house. It was for the way he made someone believe they deserved kindness. Daniel stood holding the phone long after the call ended, those words echoing in his mind. 3 weeks later, he put on his only suit and drove to Los Angeles for the ceremony. The ballroom gleamed with polished floors and crystal chandeliers. Daniel sat in the 8th row,
Surrounded by corporate executives and famous architects, he felt entirely out of place, yet somehow exactly where he needed to be. The ceremony progressed with speeches about innovation and sustainability. Then came the final award. The Independent Builder Achievement Award, the announcer said, goes to a surprising entry this year, a one-man workshop in rural New Mexico, creating housing solutions that combine traditional craftsmanship with modern efficiency. Daniel's pulse quickened. To present this special recognition, we have someone many of you will know. The audience turned. From the side of the stage, a woman emerged into the spotlight. Black hair falling in waves over a midnight blue dress, walking with quiet confidence. Isabella. Daniel's breath caught. She moved to the podium, her eyes scanning the crowd until they found his. They held steady. "There are people," she began, her voice clear and strong, "who change your life without announcement. They don't seek recognition or reward. They simply show up when your world is falling apart and do what's right. Not because they'll benefit, but because that's who they are." Isabella continued, emotion threading through her words. "I owe my life to one such person. He didn't know who I was, he didn't care. He saw someone afraid and offered safety. He saw someone lost and gave them space to heal. He taught me that strength doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it comes with sawdust in your hair and calluses on your hands and a heart that knows how to be kind when kindness is all that matters." She held up the award. "The winner of this year's Independent Builder Achievement Award is Daniel Hayes." The applause swelled, but Daniel barely heard it. He rose slowly, walking through the crowd, climbing the stage. When he reached her, she smiled, really smiled, for the first time since she'd left. As she handed him the award, she whispered so only he could hear, "I meant every word." Later, on the hotel's rooftop terrace, they stood side by side, overlooking the glittering city. Isabella spoke first. "I didn't come back to apologize, Daniel. I came back to tell you I never really left, not in here." She pressed her palm to her chest. "Why?" he asked. "Why set this all up and not tell me?" She turned to face him fully. "Because I wanted you to win for you, not because you helped a billionaire's daughter, not out of pity or obligation, but because your work deserves recognition, because you deserve it." Daniel's expression softened. He reached up, brushing his fingers gently against her cheek. "You could have gone anywhere in the world." "I know," she said, "but I came back to you." His voice was barely a whisper. "Are you staying this time?" "If you'll have me," she answered. "Not just to visit, to stay, to build something real." He pulled her into his arms, holding her like he'd never let go. "My workshop always had room for you, to work, to live, to belong." 1 year later, the sign above the new building read, "Hands and Heart Academy." Located just outside Albuquerque, the converted warehouse hummed with life. It was a vocational training center for second chances, a place where at-risk youth, veterans, and dreamers could learn carpentry, design, and sustainable building. Daniel ran the construction side. Isabella managed the design program, where fabric samples and architectural drawings coexisted on the same tables. One afternoon, a small girl with paint-splattered overalls tugged on Isabella's sleeve. "Miss Isabella," she asked, her eyes wide with wonder, "can girls really build houses too?" Isabella knelt down, smiling warmly.
She brushed a streak of sawdust from her forehead. "Not only can they," she said gently, "but sometimes they're the very best builders of all." The girl's face lit up with possibility. Across the room, Daniel watched them, a pencil behind his ear, a smile playing at his lips. He caught Isabella's eye, and she winked. It was simple. It was honest. It was everything they'd built together, with wood and fabric, with patience and trust, with the kind of love that doesn't need perfect timing or grand gestures. Just two people who chose each other and kept choosing each other every single day. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of escape, trust, and redemption. If the story of the heiress and the carpenter touched your heart, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more soul-stirring stories that remind us of the goodness that still exists in this world.